You are now chopping it up with the Nerd Barbershop Podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Nerd Barbershop Podcast. I'm Terry Williams. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode of the podcast and hanging out with me for a little bit. I know it's been a while. I honestly don't remember what time the last podcast was, but we won't get into that right now. So in this podcast, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about Agatha All Along. The series just wrapped up, or the season. I don't know if it's going to be. This might be. I'm pretty sure this might be one and done, because they said WandaVision is going to be like a couple different parts, like a couple different series together to create like the WandaVision like universe, I guess. So the series just wrapped up. So I'm going to be talking about. I'm not necessarily going to go through episode by episode because it's one of those shows you should definitely experience on your own. I'm just talking about what I liked in the show, some plot points and things like that I really enjoyed. And so yeah, so of course, spoiler alert, spoiler warning. There will be spoilers. Across the board. This will be in the title. Of course, it's spoiler warning. If you haven't watched the series yet, you don't want to be spoiled for any of the main plot points. I'm probably going to jump in and out of stuff. Don't listen to this. Don't listen to this. Don't watch this on YouTube. Just ignore it and watch it later on. So I really enjoyed the show, especially because it came out right before Halloween, or like the series finale was the day before Halloween, and the episodes were running at the end of September, going in October, I believe. So it was really cool, really well timed, and it's the perfect kind of fall season, spooky season show. Because there haven't been a lot of things on Disney Plus this year. So this kind of being one of the few projects that Marvel has dropped this year, I think it helped. I think it helped it out a lot. It gave it a chance to kind of breathe and be its own thing. Really good. Really enjoyed it. It is a continuation of WandaVision. So at the end of WandaVision, of course, Wanda and Agatha Harkness go at it. They have like their big witches battle in the sky. Wanda, in turn, wins, takes Agatha's powers, and places this like spell on Agatha, where she's like in like her own little personal hex, if you will. That's all we know. So the series actually starts off where we get to see kind of what Agatha has been seeing in the last 3 years, which I think is really cool, because I didn't think we would get, because they could have easily have not had that, and they could have easily had started the series just kind of Agatha waking up from it or something like that. So us getting 2 episodes of her in kind of this hex was really cool to see what Agatha was seeing. It was really funny because it kind of revealed that Agatha is only like going through like this true detective type story in her mind, and the rest of the town is normal. But because how powerful Agatha is, also what Westview just went through, they all kind of play along. Just kind of like do their own thing, just play along with Agatha. It's pretty funny when after she comes out of it, you get to see like all the little props and stuff around her house and things like that she like created to like implement this illusion. But it's really funny. It's actually the show has really good bits of comedy and magic and some of the seriousness as well. I love a lot of the characters. I love a lot of the back and forth that you get from all the characters, because of course Agatha. You get a lot of Agatha's backstory, where her magic is absorbing magic, and you actually learn later on in the series that she actually kind of came up with this con with her son to kill witches, because that's how she stays alive. She's basically, they didn't say what she actually does, but she's basically a parasite. She has to feed off of other things, so she feeds off the magic of other witches to keep herself alive. And it's really good. Shout out to Joe Locke, who plays the teenager or teen, who we reveal as Billy, who's revealed as Billy Maximoff, one of Wanda's kids, or the spirit of one of Wanda's kids from WandaVision possessed someone else. That whole story. Also, one thing I did want to talk about is, please, Pop, Funko, whoever leaked it, please stop leaking stuff like midway through series. Like, there's actually a leak of Pop figures for Agatha All Along that revealed 2 of the bigger reveals of the show. It's like, come on, y'all. It was only episode like 3 when that happened. At least wait till the end of the season before y'all get these leaks, because y'all take away a lot of the fun. Like, I get you want to sell the merchandise, keep people hyped so people can buy them and all that stuff, but kind of control that, because I think they just kind of ruined the surprise. A lot of the theory crafters kind of already knew who the characters were going to be, but it would be nice if people just got to experience it through the show, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, that's really cool. But yeah, so we get 9 episodes. You get to see kind of the transformation of the teenager to realize he's Billy, who was William Kaplan, but William Kaplan ended up dying in a car accident. The spirit of Billy took him over, and so now the characters kind of like these two, William and Billy, kind of fused together. Trying to figure out who he is, what memories are his, what memories are Billy's, what memories are William's, and just trying to figure out how to like be this new person. Which is something that Teen kind of struggles with through the back half of the show, kind of figuring that out, which is really cool because his power, he has powers. It's very similar to Wanda's like emotional state, how Wanda's emotions really control her chaos magic until she kind of figured out how to hone in on it. Same thing with Billy. He didn't really know how to use his, like, we got really upset, really going through some stuff. When one of the other witches, Alice, actually ended up dying, he ended up really having this like emotional like outburst, and his powers kind of took over. Really cool. It's also the first tease of him being Billy, and you get like his crown, like his Wiccan crown, the blue crown, which is really nice. Really modeled a little bit after Scarlet Witches, but it kind of has its own flair to it. But that was really cool to see the continuation. So, because again, they're building the Young Avengers, so Wiccan will join the Young Avengers eventually. Don't know when that's gonna happen, but they're kind of building the team sort of. And I was just thinking like the Young Avengers might actually be kind of OP when they get them all together. They might be a little cracked, so we'll see like how they put them all together. Catherine Hahn as Agatha was really, really good. Where I also love that Agatha All Along, there isn't really a villain per se. You kind of think it's Agatha for the most part. You think it's Rio Goodall, who we get revealed that Rio was actually the entity of death. Which is really cool. Like Aubrey Plaza, I can't say Plaza for some reason. Aubrey Plaza absolutely just killed that role. She was just having fun, and just you can see it was it was her. It was just her having a ball with it, and you get to see just kind of Agatha's relationship with Death, where they've been actually together, I guess, on and off for centuries. And you kind of get the story because there's a part in the show where Death is like, you get so much special treatment. And Agatha's like, what? And then in episode 9, you get kind of like a history. We go back in time to see like Agatha with her son Nicholas, and you get to see a little bit of the early relationship between her and Death, because Nicholas was supposed to die, I guess, when he was born or at birth. And Agatha asked Death to like, please give me some time. And Death was like, okay, I'll give you time. But Death never told Agatha how long. So that was kind of the contingency plan. I'll give you some time, but I won't tell you when I'll come for him. And then, of course, I think after he turned 6, a couple of he was about 6, probably like 6.5. Death actually came and got him, and that's kind of, when she lost him. So it's really sad. So you see Agatha's heart, because that was her heart. She lost her coven because something that she never really knew how to control, because she killed the coven and her witch, like her mom and stuff like that. But she didn't try. It wasn't like intentional. It just kind of happened because of her powers. But that I love, like, the whole idea is the witch's road, and it's the way that they directed the show and stuff, where like the witch's road is basically the MacGuffin of the show. It's this idea that all the characters are kind of chasing and thinking like it'll give them their dreams, give them powers, it will give them like all these things will come if they complete the witch's road. And you come to find out the witch's road isn't real. It was actually just a con that Agatha and her son created, because her son was singing the song. It was called the Windy Road. I guess over time they developed it into the Witch's Road, and all the lyrics her son and Agatha created I guess they created this illusion. So that's the part that didn't really explain like how all the other witches started believing in the Witch's Road. I guess it was just from Agatha. Like Agatha probably used her magic to make it seem like it was this, this fabled place where witches can go to test them so they can get whatever they wanted. But really, it was a con to lure witches, together, where, Nicholas will sing it, witches will come find him. Oh, hey, we're here about the song, come with us, we can like feed you and blah, 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 and take care of you. And then Agatha will follow them, and she'll kill the witches. And it was really kind of interesting. And then you see kind of in episode 9, Nicholas doesn't necessarily like that because he's a kid. He doesn't really like seeing witches be killed, but that's the only way that Agatha can stay alive. So it's kind of, he does it for her, but this one time he doesn't really want to do it because he's a kid. He doesn't see witches get hurt. But after he passes away, she's singing it, and the witch finds, finds her, and then she gets the idea of, we need a coven. So she gets like coven, and then she starts creating the whole ideology of the witch's road. You need a coven and blah blah blah. And she basically, like, they try to do it. Since it's not real, a door doesn't appear, nothing happens. Agatha basically tells the witch, like, oh, you all suck, you're terrible, you're not good. They attack her with their magic, and she, of course, drains their magic and ends up killing them. So it's basically this long con that she's been doing for years, which is why when Billy was doing the research on Agatha, it says, like, in like one of her like little what I forget what it was called, like, it was like a witch's Wikipedia. She's the only witch to survive the witch's road, because of course she is, because she created the witch's road. So it's kind of cool that they kind of pull all these things in. When you find out that actually the witch's road, since it doesn't exist, Billy actually created the witch's road through his magic, through, like, he created, like, his own, like, little hex. Really cool. All the stuff in his room that was in Billy Kaplan's room, he transposed that in his vision of the witch's road, which is why it all look different and is all similar to things that he knew. And Agatha actually knew it from the jump, since she knew the road wasn't real. So when there was like a door and all these things, she's like, what the, she could see it in her face, but she kind of always knew it was something about him. And she started to put together he was probably the Scarlet Witch's son, and then she kind of knew from the jump, but the rest of the team, the rest of the coven, didn't know. One of the best characters in the show is Lilia, played by Patti LuPone, who absolutely killed it. Like, she's like a legend in theater, which I've seen people that talk about her accolades and stuff like that, and I was like, oh man, like, I need to look at more stuff with Patti LuPone in it, because she killed it. Like, Lily was probably the best character in the show, just in terms of complexity and what she meant to the show, and how she kept seeing the future throughout the series, but it just sounded like old witch ramblings, because she was the clairvoyant, so she could see the future and stuff like that. But the way that they made the character sound like she was just rambling and just going through stuff, and like gaps in her memory, and she's just like just sporadic, and it didn't make any sense. And there's actually a picture someone did of actually they connected like 6 of the time, like Lilia said something, they connected it all together, where she was actually making sense. But of course, since she sees gaps in the future, she it's just she couldn't put it together, and her gaps were getting worse because she was getting closer to her death, so her gaps were getting more frequent, and she was spinning out, and she was trying to run away from death instead of just kind of embracing it and embracing what was going to happen, embracing the end of her journey and stuff like that. Next, that's episode 7, which is like her with Lilia's trial. So good, because it bounced around, because of how Lilia see gaps in time. The episode's like constantly bouncing around to the past, the future, like to the beginning of the show, or not the beginning of the show, but the beginning of the episode to the middle of the episode, to the end, back to the beginning, and then it kind of towards the end, it kind of puts it all together, where she realizes it's a tarot reading, is the trial, but she thought she had to read teen. But instead of reading teen, she was like, oh, this is my tarot reading. So she has to read herself. And throughout the show, she's actually be seeing tarot cards of all the different people, which is really, really cool, which is like, she was seeing all these tarot cards and all these, references she kept like avoiding, and then she realized she needed to just accept it, because she was the Queen of Cups. She just accepted it to read it, and she knew like death was coming for her, and then she was closer to death than she realized. So instead of running from it, she just accepted like her fate as hey, this is the end, let me just face it head on. And she found peace with it, and she started like her new journey in the absolute, in like her next life, which is really, really cool, really sweet, really sad. But Patti LuPone killed it. If you have not seen, there's a Hot One versus of Patti LuPone and Aubrey Plaza together. Please watch it. It's so good. They're so good together. Such good chemistry. I can see why they picked like the people that they did for the show. They all have great chemistry together. Also, it's kind of cool because like in the coven, like you need like different like witches, different powers, and they needed a green witch. Agatha got Mrs. Davis in the first, or in episode 3, she got Mrs. Davis to be like their green witch, quote unquote. Mrs. Davis wasn't the witch. She ended up dying, on the road. But come to find out that the potion witch actually has a little bit of green witch in them, and the real 5th member of the coven was always teen, which is really cool. It's something you don't pick up on, because he seems like he's the person like with the least amount of magic. He's just doing like kind of like more traditional magic, more analog magic, with writings in Latin and everything. But come to find out, he was the last piece of the coven, and they didn't realize that till the end. And there's actually some nice little references where, like, when Lilia, like, she wrote out the names of the coven, and the last person was a black heart, because Teen had a sigil on him, which actually Lilia put the sigil on Teen as the bar mitzvah when he was William Kaplan, back when, William Kaplan put the seal on to protect him, and the seal worked so fast that he didn't know who he was, and she didn't know who he was. That's why it was a heart instead of a name, but a lot of people thought it was the black heart was for a Rio, who was deaf, deaf black heart. But no, it's actually a reference to Teen's boyfriend. When they talk, he would say, like, "You're my heart," and like, if you use the black heart emoji. So it's kind of all these like little references that they put in there to show you, like, what's happening and who's supposed to be there and this stuff. Really good, really well put together. Just fun. Just, I was sad that Alice got killed. She was the protection witch, but like, kind of what Death kind of tells her is, like, she finally got the curse off of her, but she died, and she was really upset about that. And she's like, I'll have more time. And Death was like, no, you don't. And she said, but I didn't, I needed more to live. I just got the curse. And she was like, but you died protecting someone. You fulfilled her purpose. And I think that's kind of what the show is kind of about in the end. It's not necessarily like the antagonist. There really isn't an antagonist. The Death isn't really an antagonist. Death is just a product of life. It's just kind of the constant cycle of life. Agatha wasn't really an antagonist. She just kind of was who she was. Not necessarily bad all the time. Not really good. Just kind of just Agatha. Teen was really bad. Teen was trying to figure it out. Billy was trying to figure it out, who he was as a person. Even though 3 people in the coven did die, he did save one person, and actually did give Agatha back some of his powers to Agatha, so she could kind of contest death in the finale. So it's kind of like, it's not really about the show. It's not about good and evil. It's just kind of about purpose and figuring that out. One of Jen's thing was she wanted to get her powers back. She found out that Agatha actually bound her in Boston, I guess, like 100 years ago, back in like the early 1900s in Boston. And she didn't even, Agatha did it because she did it for, I guess, to get paid, whatever. But she didn't know it was Jen, and Jen's been bound for 100 years. And come to find, she never lost her powers. It was there. She just had to unbound. And then when she was in, she actually unbound to Agatha. She got her powers back. So she's back at full strength. It's just kind of, I think it was just kind of finding your end. Like, Alice broke the curse of her family with that curse that was over the Wong or the Wu family. And she protected them. She finally, because she always worked in jobs where she was a police officer, she was security, then she did something else. So she's always been like in protection jobs, but they always told her, oh, she wasn't good at her job, she sucked, like she wasn't good, she was bad luck and all this stuff. And she saved Agatha, she got rid of the curse, she fulfilled her purpose. Lilia found her purpose in life. She finally got the grips with death and her vision and all the gaps and stuff. She did her thing. And Agatha kind of found her purpose. She was so heartbroken over the death of her son that she was still trying. She was staying alive because she couldn't face him. She couldn't see him again because she just couldn't. And she did nothing wrong. She never sacrificed her son, or she didn't sacrifice him for the Book of the Damned or anything like that. He was meant to, like, he wasn't supposed to be born. But death gave her 6 years and to be with him, and that was kind of it. So one of the cool things I like toward in episode 9, after you kind of get the backstory of Agatha and Nicholas, and you see because in episode 8, Death and Agatha kiss, Death dies, quote unquote, but she comes back as a ghost, which is really cool. Because one, she looks like Agatha Harkness in the comics. She has like the long gray hair, the dress. She looks more like Agatha in the comics. But also as a ghost, and I'm not sure if this is real or not. I have to look into this a little bit more. She looks a lot like, and she seems to be more like Agatha Harkness in the Midnight Suns game that came out a couple of years ago. Because in Marvel's Midnight Suns, Agatha Harkness is in the game. She dies, early on, like, early on in the story, or she dies, you don't see when she dies, but she does die, and she's a ghost, and she's at the Abbey, and the only person that can actually see her and interact with her is the player character, the hunter that you create and is made for the game. That's the only person that sees Agatha, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool that they did that, because now Teen sees Agatha as a ghost, and they're like a coven of two, because Agatha's like, oh, I usually kill my coven, and Billy's like, yeah, I kill my coven too. So now they're gonna work together to go try to find Tommy. So this is really cool show. Good parts. It's basically WandaVision Part 2, because there's like the Vision story, and I guess there's gonna be one more. I think that would be like kind of like the finish of like the WandaVision kind of arc. But yeah, really fun show. All 9 episodes are now up on Disney Plus. Definitely check it out. It's kind of the perfect Halloween watch, right into Halloween, watch. I really enjoyed it. Really fun. The cast was a lot of fun. The story was really fun. And I like that they still tighten some stuff from WandaVision into this, and it leaves you open into like to see where they might go with it. Because of course, Wiccan is gonna probably be a younger Vision, like I stated earlier. We'll see what Agatha does. Like, will Wanda probably comes back? Will Agatha, be around? Like, we'll see what happens with that. Because Agatha doesn't necessarily want to go off until like to the afterlife, because she doesn't want to see her son. She can't really face him. So we'll see what entails for Agatha Harkness going forward. But it's a really fun episode. Definitely check it out. It's a lot better than what people thought it was gonna be. Just people are just weird when it comes to Marvel stuff, because it's not like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor. It's not that. It's like you forget there's like millions of characters in Marvel lore. Like, let some of these other stories shine, and you might like some, you might not like some. But it is what it is. But I really enjoyed it, especially checking out if you're into like witches and stuff like that. It's just really fun. There's some of the things that they do with it. Now, thank you for checking out this brand new episode of the Nerd Barbershop Podcast. Like I said, I know it's been a while, but I wanted to do this one because I really enjoyed the show. I was gonna do a podcast for Deadpool Wolverine, but everybody and their mama covered that, so I think it's good. But anyway, I don't know how many more podcast episodes will happen. I'll do them sporadically when I can, when I feel like it's something that's interesting. But thank you so much for rocking with me and the podcast for so many years. I think we're coming up on 6 years of the podcast, I believe. So yeah, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Always and forever, slicing, dicing, gaming. Not just a motto, this is a lifestyle. I'll see you next podcast. Later.